Hello, everybody. My name is Javier Garza, and welcome to the Texas Adult Summer Reading Program for 2020, sponsored by the Dustin Michael Sekula Memorial Library. The story I will be sharing with you all today is from my book entitled Creepy Creatures and Other Cucuys, and this is called Lechuza Lady, and it goes something like this. The story of Lechuza Lady is nothing but a bunch of lies, declares Don Fidencio, not convinced by his wife's argument that he not go out drinking tonight. The story is true, viejito, says his wife, and I pray and hope you never have to find out just how true the story really is. Don Fidencio laughed at his wife, that loud, bellowing, mocking laugh of him, and tells her not to even think of waiting up for him. That said, he begins his walk down to El Rincón del Diablo, the most infamous bar in the small town of Edcauchelso where he lived. Now, Don Fidencio had heard all the stories of La Lechuza Lady. He knew the tales of women that through magic could turn themselves into giant white owls over 7 feet tall. And it was said that this particular woman had lost her son to a drunk driver. And since he was never caught, she made a pact with the spirit to become a lechuza, a witch owl. And it was said that she now stalked El Rincón del Diablo, perched atop its trees, waiting, looking, hoping to find the one that had taken her son and does have her revenge. But Don Fidencio considered this story to be nothing but pure nonsense, or as we say in Valle, puro pedo. So it was already past 2 o'clock in the morning when the bartender finally told Fidencio to go home. He had been drinking especially heavy that night. So as Fidencio finally left the bar and began making his way down to his house, he heard a voice that called out to him, a voice that said, "Borracho!" And in the valley, as we know, borracho is the Spanish word for a drunk. He looked left, he looked right, he looked all around, but there was nobody there. So I figured it must have been his imagination, or maybe the wind, and plus he had been drinking. So he kept on walking. But he had barely walked 2 feet when he heard that voice again, that loud, echoing, bellowing voice that said, "Borracho!" Louder this time, closer even. He looked left, he looked right, he looked up, he looked down, he saw nothing. But now he was scared. And he knew that he was scared because he could feel the hair on the back of his neck starting to stand on end. And he could feel himself breaking out into goosebumps all over his arms. He tried to run, get home quickly where he would be safe. But if you ever seen a person try to run when they're drunk, you know they don't get too far. All they do is stumble and fall. And finally, he heard that voice, that loud, thunderous voice a third time. That voice that said, "Borracho!" So loud now, it sounded like there was a person yelling right next to him. And that's the moment when he realized that the voice he was hearing was coming from up on the trees. He looked up, and that's when he saw her, perched atop a tree with the biggest, the meanest, the scariest looking owl he had ever laid eyes on, over 7 feet tall, with glowing eyes that burned like they're on fire. The lechuza spread open its wings and cried out, "Borracho!" as it jumped off the tree, pouncing on poor Don Fidencio, knocking him clear down to the ground. Don Fidencio began to struggle with the feathered fury that was pecking at the top of his head, calling out, "Borracho! Borracho! Borracho!" With each attack, Don Fidencio, he crawled all the way home, the lechuza flying above him, pecking at the back of his head. He crawled all the way home like a scolded dog with his tail between his legs till he finally reached his front porch, and he finally lay over on his back, his chest heaving up and down as he tried to control his breathing. And that's when he realized, finally, that La Lechuza, the witch owl, was gone. But in its place, floating inches above him, was a white-haired old woman. A woman that pointed an accusing finger right at his face. A woman that said, "Borracho!" before she disappeared in a puff of smoke. Don Fidencio, they say, he never, ever drank again. And that's the story of La Lechuza Lady. Dun dun!